Reading, learning, growing, creating, while building, living, thinking, healing, loving, building, writing while black, black, black.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, writing while black ites. This is Angela, and we are here for another edition of Writing While Black. I am joined today, of course, with our co-host, Ayoka. And today we also have a very special guest, as far as I'm concerned, author Iyapo Yapa. Yay! So from the website iyapoyapa.com, it says that Iyapo Yapa is a cartoonist, illustrator, and graphic artist who has worked in the graphic art field most of his adult life. He has finally made the leap to his true passion, writing. When not writing, Iyapo can be found designing something or other, drawing cartoon characters, or composing music. Iyapo is the host of the Drapetomaniac podcast with his co-host, Angela Yapa, which is at doiamedia.com. So you can go there to see the other, to listen to the other podcast. And Iyapo Yapa is also my dear husband. So, yay, welcome in. You are the author of Melanin a Novel, which was your first novel, and then you or he also has And What of the Cargo. There is also a collection of books a collection of short stories under his name called Paradigm Void, and then under another name, R.J. Blackman, is the book Rasullalah, Ohio. So you have 4 books out. Have we ever, Ayoka, talked to anybody who had more than 1 or 2 books out in the world?
Maybe, but not many.
Oh, right. We spoke to the writing machine who has 8 gazillion books out there. So
Right. And I
right
think the
behind.
only other one is Tati.
Okay. All right. So, is there anything else, Iyapo, that you wanted to say or add to the introduction to the bring in?
No, that's it. That's good. I'm just glad that I'm here, and I thank you, ladies, for having me on.
Oh,
Seriously.
we're very happy to have you on.
It's about time.
It's about time.
Been hiding from us.
Right. We had you on one episode a while ago when we first started. We did an episode on Black writing groups, and so I think that was almost
the first one.
I was going to say it was our inaugural episode, I believe. So you're back again. Welcome back into the space. So
thank you.
You're welcome. So you said now you finally made the leap into your true passion, writing. All right. So why did it take you so long to make the leap into your true passion?
Well, you know the story. For those who don't, I wanted to be a writer my whole life. Everyone thought I wanted to be a cartoonist more because that's what I did all the time, and for a time I did that for a living. But I always wanted to be a writer, tell stories ever since I was like watching Twilight Zone and Outer Limits as a child, because I liked the stories and the whole fantastical aspects of them and that. And so when I was in the States, I never could finish anything. The most that I had ever done was to get like 2 or 3 chapters of a book done ever. And then moved here, and my mind got cleared up, and I was able to actually start writing. So within 2 years, I had written Melanin, And What of the Cargo, Paradigm Void, which is a collection of short stories, and Rasullalah, Ohio, under R.J. Blackman. So that was pretty much the beginning of it, and been writing ever since. A clear mind can really get you motivated and help you to get things moving.
I remember when we were first getting to know each other, and I knew that you were a cartoonist and illustrator. which is interesting because the book that I was expecting to get some information about or a couple chapters from was the book on Black cartooning. When you asked,
Mhm.
can I send you a couple chapters of a book I'm working on? And what I ended up getting was Melanin. And I always tell people, like, when I read it, I was like, oh my God, I'm in trouble because this man can write too. I was already liking you, but then when I saw you could write, I was like, oh Lord, he's an artist. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? Can you tell us a little bit about Melanin, what the story is about, what genre it's in, what caused you to want to create it, or
This
anything
is
else you
my
want to share
favorite
about it?
one.
Oh.
Sure thing. Oh, really? Thank you. Melanin came from when I watched White Man's Burden back when I was younger, way younger. John Travolta and Harry Belafonte, and it was a movie where they basically had the roles reversed, where white people were the people who were oppressed and black people were the people who were on top, and it was literally just a reversal of that. No nuance, no anything. And even then, and I wasn't what you call conscious back then. But even then, I knew that there was something off about that. And so my question had always been, what happens when a people who are used to being subjugated, at least as far as in the Americas after chattel slavery started, who have known nothing but subjugation, and all of a sudden it starts to flip, and you're starting to come into power, and those who have traditionally been in power are slipping into the woodwork. And Melanin takes place in a world where there's a radiological disaster that causes this virulent form of melanoma that only affects Caucasian people and people who have uh, uh, you. Ron, I can't remember now if it's melanin or pheomelanin. I think it's pheomelanin, but uh, if you have pheomelanin, then it affects you. If you have eumelanin, which is what black people have, then it doesn't really affect you. You can't just tan your way out of it. You can't, um, you can't transfuse your way out of it. You have to genetically and phenotypically become black. And so that's what the story is about. And then there's like a whole bunch of stuff that happens. That's melanin. It's a long book.
It is, but it doesn't read like a long book. It's a page turner. And this one
Thank
is
you.
it's y'all know I don't like genres, but it's fantastical. It's sci-fi and technology. It's all these things together, which I always admire of you, Iyapo, because the way you come up with these stories. I mean, I know you said it was based on this movie that I've never seen. I had never heard of it until you just said it, but it's so much more. Um, if you haven't read it, go read it.
I don't read it.
All right. So speaking of writing across genres, and me and Ayoka, we agree, F them genres. But so then your next book is, so this one, Melanin is kind of science fiction-y. You have a term that you use called theoretical ebb fiction because
Yes.
of course, when we research the term, what's the mainstream term that a lot of people use
Afro
that
Afrofuturism.
we found out that a white guy had created it, and we were like, oh my gosh, we're all about controlling our narrative, so we're not going to be pushing and perpetuating this term because somebody else has defined and is controlling our black. So anyway, but you use
Right.
theoretical ebb fiction, which includes melanin, and then your next book is not, it's a little different. So can you talk a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about and what of the cargo?
My second book, and What of the Cargo, is actually from an extension of a short story, excuse me, that I wrote called a oral history of forgotten cargo, and that story was only like eight or nine pages. Um, then I expanded that to become And What of the Cargo, and then What of the Cargo is basically dedicated to the Black people who lost their lives at sea. And I'm saying that as a euphemism. They were basically murdered, stolen, and murdered. But some of them jumped ship for whatever reason. They died at sea, as opposed to getting here and being enslaved and then dying on the soil. And what happens in that book is that it starts out on a slave ship, and it's very graphic. A lot of people say that it's a hard read. It was genuinely hard for me to write. Right hand. It was hard for me to write it, but I wanted it to present in all the ugliness that it portends. But after that prologue, rather, after that prologue, then it goes into modern times, and it starts with this cruise ship, and there's a massacre on the cruise ship, and the only people who survive are Black. It's a horror novel, but even at the beginning, I write this whole thing that talks about what's the difference, what is horror? Like, what is horror for a Black person may not be horror for a white person. Example being, if you wanted to write a very intense scene, you could take a 50s diner and have a white man walk into it with a bunch of white people. There's no tension, no nothing. And take that same exact scene, and you're in the Jim Crow South, and have a Black man or a Black woman walk into that same diner. And all of a sudden you have all this tension. What's going to happen? Are they going to be killed? Are they going to be lynched? What's going to happen? So the horror is based upon your point of view. So there are parts of the book that are bloody and horrific and so on. There's people who, Black people who've read it, said that it scared them in parts. But yeah, it's a horror novel. First one, the Melon was sci-fi. This one's horror, and it takes you on this journey from a slave ship all the way through. I'll say all the way through to the end.
Okay, you said that and What of the Cargo was inspired or sort of an extension of a short story called An Oral History of Forgotten Cargo. And that one is in your third book, Paradigm Void. Can you
Right.
talk? And Paradigm Void it's available as a book with 10 stories plus a bonus story. And it's a bonus story because all of those stories were released as individual stories for $1, Keepin It A Buck, the Keepin It A Buck series, except for one
Right.
of them, which is only in the full Paradigm Void book. But can you talk about what inspired Paradigm Void or what Paradigm Void is?
Um, Paradigm Void is an anthology book, and I'm actually working on the volume 2 of it. But this is Paradigm Void volume 1, and it's a collection of short stories. I love the short story format. Love it, because you can like read, and then before you're bored or tired of it, it's done, and you have a whole story beginning, middle, and end. But the stories range from sci-fi and horror to suspense, um, and time travel, that type of thing. Which, I mean, I guess that would fall under
Vampire,
sci-fi.
werewolves.
Vampires, werewolves, all that stuff. So, and I think they're pretty good stories. And excuse me, in my stories, the protagonists are always going to be Black people. That's something that people need to know about my work. I don't even really, though I may do it or even tend to do it. I don't tend to, or I may not write that the main characters are Black. My assumption for the writer or for the reader is going to always just be that they know that the main characters, the heroes of the story, are Black, even without me ever describing them, because all my books are going to be Black centered. They're going to be pro-Black, because there's a difference. There's all kinds of Black stories, but there's Black and then there's pro-Black. And so it's like I said, vampires and werewolves and sci-fi and time travel, but always centered on Black people. And our experience has been different. Our outlooks on the future are different. Our views of horror are different, and so I try to capture that in each of the stories in the book. And I love for us to win, but we don't always win. It can't just all be predictable.
But shoot, it feel like to me when I be reading and watching stuff, I get so effing tired of us always losing. I mean, or having to like be like, well, we fought, so that's a win. We showed that we strong. I be so tired of that
You
skit.
need
Okay,
to change what you watching.
I know, I do. I
Right.
need some better because
Curveball every
I
now and
stopped
then.
watching a bunch of stuff because I feel like I watch it and I'm feeling away, and then there'll be something that'll like be like boo. So what I'm watching, what I'm reading, but I'm always on the lookout for. Okay, so then I wanted to bring in the next book, but as we're bringing in the next book, I wanted to talk about this whole multiple personality
Yeah, what's
order
up with all the
you
pen
have
names?
going on. What's wrong with all the different? It's three of y'all. So can you talk about being an author who writes? Is it called pseudonyms? What is it called? Is it called
Pseudonym,
who has
Pseudonyms or
pseudonym?
pen
pet
names.
name.
Pen names.
Mhm.
Oh, so you have
Right.
some pen names going on and some pen personalities going on. Can you talk about that? Why, Iyapo? Why?
Right. Well, there's Iyapo, who is me, and then there's R.J. Blackman, who is me, and then there's Adrian M. Lane, who is me. So really, the simplified version of it is when I write something as R.J. Blackman or Adrian M. Lane, I just move into a different headspace to write it, and it's going to be a different kind of book because R.J. Blackman does more grounded, more down to earth, like Rasullalah, Ohio, which is a mystery. It's a cozy mystery. And then Adrian M. Lane, her first book hasn't been published yet, and I say her, but it hasn't been published yet. But it's called Chand Hill's All Night Diner, and it's like a cozy fantasy story. So, yeah, I just like write stuff in a different headspace. Like if someone's reading Iyapo Yapa, they kind of know to expect. Um, they already know to expect the soapbox and speeches and all that. Read R.J. Blackman
And gore.
and gore, right? And violence. And R.J. Blackman is going to just be more. There may be violence, but it's not like hardcore violence. I finished another R.J. Blackman. That's Heaven, Mississippi. One of my favorites, and it hasn't been published yet. It's still being edited. And Adrian M. Lane is kind of the same, where you're not going to have a bunch of violence and gore and all that, and it's softer, but they're still, I still think that they're good stories, of course. And frankly, Chan Hill's All Night Diner is my favorite thing that I've read so far.
Before we talk about upcoming projects or projects that are on the editing desk, can we finish with the Rasullalah, Ohio summary?
Sure.
And that's by R.J. Blackman.
That's R.J. Blackman. Rasullalah, Ohio is a mystery. It's the first in the mystery series, um, called the rather Hattie Lee Mysteries, and they center around a woman named Hattie, and and they live in this. She lives in this fictional town called Rasullalah, Ohio, and it's an all black town, and this isn't really even a spoiler. This is just something about the town. Is all black, and what they do is they realize that every time black people build things and it looks like they're prospering, it gets burned down or blown up. So what they do is they have these homes, and on purpose they're constantly scouting and checking the the surrounding areas, white areas, and they just make sure that their homes and their cars and everything always look like it's one or two steps below them on the outside. Always one or two steps below them, like they're struggling or whatever. But in reality, you walk into their houses and they have these fabulous homes that are just like top of the line, beautiful on the inside, and and most of them have their homes paid off. They have it so that they have it arranged so it looks like they're struggling to make payments on their homes and all this stuff, but actually they all pretty much own their homes and such. But Rasullalah, Ohio has very strict rules. And then in the first book, Hattie ends up accused of something that she didn't do, and she gets ostracized. Um, and someone dies in the process, and the book is basically about Hattie trying to get to the bottom of what happened and who set her up and why. So it's an ongoing story.
All right.
That's what's
Thank you. I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna turn it over to Ayoka.
Okay.
I
Hi. So I guess I was able to read what would be considered an art or be a beta reader for Chan Hill's All Night Diner. And I really love this story, and it's a very cozy, make you feel warm and good type of story. But of course, if you read anything, even though this is by one of his pen names, if you read anything by Iyapo, it's never going to be quite what you think or quite what it seems. I'll say it that way. But can you talk to us a little bit about, I guess, how you got the idea for this one and how you felt writing it?
I wrote Chan Hill on the tail end of another book that I finished, and it still needs to be edited. It was called The Problems of Immortality. And that book is very existentially depressing and dystopian. Now, to be honest, I mean it's a harsh book, and it's a long book. And after I wrote that, I was like, I really want to write something that's light. And so I ended up having to move into that Adrian M. Lane headspace. And I said, I'm going to write something that's light. And that's actually where that came from. And unlike all my other books that have taken me months, and in some cases, a year to like pick back up and read, I wrote Chan Hill from beginning to end in less than 2 weeks, and it's my favorite book so far. And
You said that 3 times since we've been on here.
Yeah, because
about different
I love
titles.
That book.
That's the favorite right there.
Said that about Heaven, Mississippi. So what you
No,
trying to say? All your
Heaven,
books are your
Mississippi is my
favorite?
favorite. No, Heaven, Mississippi is my second favorite.
Okay.
But yeah, Chan Hill is my favorite book so far. I mean, I like all my books, but you
Well,
know,
I hope
it's like
so.
your children. It's like me and my mom. I was her favorite child. I told her that because I have 8 siblings. I said, after you had me, you kept going. Why did you keep going after you finally got it right?
So what has been, I know which ones you said were your favorite. What has been your favorite to write thus far? Published
My
or
favorite.
unpublished?
That's a good question. I think my favorite to write. I think it might be Heaven, Mississippi. That was my favorite to write.
Why?
Because of because of what it's about. And it is Heaven, Mississippi is a kind of a book that even if you say a little bit, then you spoil it.
Okay, don't spoil
But
it.
it's
Well, what is the time period of Heaven, Mississippi?
Heaven, Mississippi takes place in the antebellum South, and it takes place on a plantation. So, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, not another slave book. I don't want to hear any more about slavery and slave books," which I get. Heaven, Mississippi kind of flips that whole thing on its head, and I think that's why I enjoy writing it so much. It is a very different kind of a book. It's not like one of these, oh, we're downtrodden and getting beat by massa every day. No, it's not one of those. So,
Well, I think that it is possible to write a book during that time period, even when our ancestors were enslaved, that focuses on the joy, because you know there had to be joy, especially for us to survive, and we found that joy. I just think that when people think about that time, well, not everyone, but when some people think about that time, they don't want to write about it. You know, they choose something else to write about. But
mhm.
it is possible. I think it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. Heaven, Mississippi isn't even that kind of a book. Um, it's it's um it's different, and I really like it. And I enjoy writing it. I enjoy writing it. I enjoy the concepts of it and putting it together. And so, yeah, I think that's the one that I like. I enjoy writing the most.
So what are you, I know that you read a lot as well. What are you reading right now?
Let's see. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of this book. Maybe Angela can help me out. Number 15. What what's the name of the
Is it
book?
366? We have a new neighbor who wrote it.
Right, who's an author, and I can't remember. And if you watch this, forgive me for not remembering the name of it. I may have to look it up so I can say it during this podcast. But I'm reading that, so right now it's very good so far,
What
and I won't
type of
spoil
book
anything
is
about
it?
it, but
Is it
it's a
fiction,
good book.
nonfiction?
It's fiction.
Okay. Okay.
So so yeah, and it's good.
And what
And I belong to a book club, and we've been reading like Percival Everett and S.A. Cosby a lot, and others, but those are the ones that stick out in my mind right now.
I am wounded. My book doesn't
Why?
stick out in your mind?
Oh, Love at Second Sight. Team Mike. Team Mike. Anybody who hears this, Team Mike. Just remember that. And for the guys out there, this look,
Don't do that.
don't be
Here we
fooled
go.
and think that this is some kind of a, some kind of, oh, it's a romance. I don't want to read this. The book is excellent. It's excellently written. It's written by Ayoka B, a good friend of mine who is one of my favorite writers, and she already knows that because I'm constantly saying it. And without spoiling anything, just remember, fellas, Team Mike. That's the team that you want to be on.
Oh boy.
That's the winning team.
Oh boy.
And then of course there's this the brother gets set up, but I won't even go into that.
Okay. Well, I had a follow-up. Huh?
But I want to say this though. This is Love at Second Sight is the type of a book that anyone will enjoy. Any reader or anyone who just likes a good story. That's men or women.
And it's not
will
romance,
really enjoy this.
by the way.
And it's not romance.
People
and so don't let don't let the title fool you. It's because you say, oh, love, love at second sight, but it's still
love is beautiful.
It's
we
not
have
a romance.
Love all around us, if we're lucky, all kinds of love.
Exactly. But I know how guys are. They see the title and be like, "Oh, this sounds like a romance."
Right.
It's not a romance.
Right.
It's not a romance, and this is a story for anybody. It's a beautiful story. It's well written, and please, 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 after you have read it, leave a review and a comment. That is life to an author.
Yes.
We live off your comments and your input, and also help with the rankings to help us to be seen. So once you read it or read one of mine, leave a comment and a rating. It only takes a second. 5 stars will do, and that's
the 4 R's: read or reread, rate, recommend, and review. Last time I said 3, but we got 4. 4 R's.
Okay.
and the 5th star, or the 5th R. And the 5th R is leave 5 stars.
Oh, but how does that connect to the R's? It doesn't. But it does connect with 5, so leave 5 stars.
Yeah.
Leave 5 stars, and if you have criticism, write to the author directly and give them your feedback, your constructive, loving feedback, your lovingly constructive feedback.
Keep that to yourself.
So, on that note, what is your favorite type of story to read? Do you have one?
My favorite type of story to read is typically going to be something sci-fi. Definitely stories that have a twist ending. Don't even have to be sci-fi. A story with like a really good twist ending. I love it. It has to be well done, and I don't want to see it coming. I definitely don't want to see it coming.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about your writing process?
I typically work on several projects at once, and
that's amazing.
I think it's because I can get bored with one project, so I have 2 or 3 running at the same time, so that if I'm bored with one, I can just jump to another one and keep working through. And then once I'm within that book, I'll jump around in the chapters, and I'll write the chapters that are the most exciting to me, because most of the time, except with the Dragons of Harlem, most of the time I know what the book is about and where it's supposed to be going or where it's going to go. And so I can jump around anywhere in it and then connect them back up.
So when
Um,
you
and
said you know what's going to happen, do you outline or you just have it in your head?
I typically just have it in my head. Sometimes I'll write an outline, but not often. But I do put like little things about the chapters I write on index cards, so that I can shuffle them around and put them in order later to connect them.
Okay.
But it's kind of I don't suggest it for anybody because to me it's a chaotic kind of a writing style, but it works for me.
Okay. I want to go back to the one that Chan Hill's All Night Diner.
Hmm.
So just to give us a little, because I'm hoping that that one is coming. It's going to be available for people to purchase. So can you give us um Chan Hill's All Night Diner in 5 words?
In 5 words, it's a fantastic, cozy story.
Okay, 3, even better. Okay.
Story
Okay.
does not count.
I was just
What?
gonna let him slide.
Story does not count. It's a cozy, fantastic. That's good, I guess. Shoot, I'll
Yeah,
shut up.
yeah. It's
Wait, you read it. How would you describe it in five
oh
words?
Lord, you're not supposed to flip it
There we
on
go.
me. That the author's supposed to give that. I don't know. I would maybe put um intergenerational in there,
Mm,
and maybe um something about the setting, maybe Jim Crow South,
hmm.
or maybe even instead of that connotation, put the Green Book inspired. How about that? That's
Right.
that's
Or if it doesn't have to be a sentence, it would be life, love, pain, um, joy, and hope.
okay. Okay. So what you working on next?
Uh, let's see. My wife's last nerve.
Besides that, because that's always
Well, I finished several. I finished as I said, The Problems of Immortality. It's a good book. It's a downer, but it's a good book. Um, The Problems of Immortality, um, and that's Iyapo Yapa. The Dragons of Harlem, that's Iyapo Yapa. Oh, I've actually finished The Redemption of Maxine Allison. I haven't even talked about that one, and that one's been finished for a while. That's an Iyapo Yapa. Um, no, I take it back. The Dragons of Harlem is actually R.J. Blackman. Sorry.
Dragons of Harlem is set in the 1920s, so it's another historical fiction fantasy type thing, right?
Right, during the
Kind of.
Renaissance, the Harlem Renaissance, era. So, or maybe the Cotton Club era. I haven't finished it. And it's one of the few books that I knew where it was going when I started writing it, and I forgot. So I'm gonna have to read the whole thing just to remember where I was going with this. It's up into close to 400 pages now, and it's not even close to being done. It's kind of an urban fantasy.
Okay, but hold on a second, because when Ayoka and I talked, we talked about the fact that you're a baker, and I'm like, that's a form of art. And actually, what you're working on now is what? What are you actively working on almost all day, every day for the last week or so?
Oh, the Adventures of Darrin Black, and it's an animated cartoon that it's an animated cartoon that I want to make this like action, action, action. And it features a young man named Darrin Black and his family. His mother and his father are both scientists, and They end up traveling through time, space, and dimensions, and basically just having different adventures in it. They do have an arch enemy who is Doctor and Professor Black's um, kind of equal in here, and his name is Dr. Magus, and he's always trying to do this evil stuff, and typical wants to take over the world type of thing. But it's not corny at all. But it's again a black family of scientists and adventurers, time travelers, and so on. And it's an animated cartoon. I'm working on the trailer right now. I know the trailer is only about 2.5 minutes long because I've already timed that out. And I've been working on it so far for about 2 weeks. And I still have a long way to go because I have to draw it. I'm using AI to do the heavy lifting of the actual animation and stuff. But I still have to draw the main characters because I don't want to just type in some prompts and have it spit something out.
Yeah,
I
don't
want it to
do
be
that.
my artwork and my cartoons and that. And
No
so,
stealing.
so I'm
Don't
using
do
my
that.
artwork to do it, and then it's animating it.
So is Darren Black, is he a little boy or is he, you know,
Yeah, Darren Black is
yeah,
about 12, 13.
okay, okay.
So he's young, and anyone who's familiar with the old cartoon series Johnny Quest, that's what it's going to be like. It's just like nonstop action, but it has like this, good sci-fi stories behind them. Some of the Johnny Quests were like horror, and some of them were espionage and like a spy stories and so on. So, and this is going to be the same type of thing, but it's going to feature a black family.
I wanted to talk about the AI thing a little bit because as a writer, as a cartoonist, as a musician, can
Hmm.
you talk like I think you have a perspective on AI that I rarely hear people talk about. So I wanted you to share about your thoughts about AI.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and I heard about Chat GPT or whatever. And the guy who was telling us about it, if you remember, this was in one of our writers group meetings, and he was telling me about. I don't know if I could have been more resistant to the AI, and I have issues with people who just type in a prompt and then get a piece of art and say they made the art. Okay, okay, type in the prompt, get the piece of art, but then say, yeah, AI did this, or like there are people who literally are flooding the market, Amazon and such, with crappy AI books that they just like type in a prompt and tell the AI to write them, 90,000 words or whatever about whatever, and then it spits them out this book, and they then use AI to create a cover and then throw it on Amazon. No editing, no trying to make sure the book makes sense, anything. I've even seen books on Amazon. They're like children's books, and you can tell the people just use AI, didn't even try to check it or anything. The books don't make any sense. Or when you look at the graphics, the people have like 3 arms and they're sitting through chairs and have 6 fingers and all this. It's madness. But it's all about a money grab. Now, when it comes to my use of AI, um, I may use AI Well, I even consider using a spell check now as a kind of AI when I was back spelling, checking the spelling. But I have to write the book. I have to edit the book. I have to, be the one to do it. And then I might use AI to maybe check spelling or even check continuity. There was as a matter of fact, it was Chan Hill. I used AI and I was like, are there any plot holes? And it gave me 4 legitimate plot holes that I didn't catch. So I went back and did a rewrite, and this is the one that y'all read, but I plugged those holes out. I hadn't even seen them, and I plugged all those holes out. And I wrote it. I didn't use the AI to write it. And as a matter of fact, it's interesting because the AI will give suggestions. Well, you could take this paragraph and copy and paste this in here, and I don't use that. And don't even bother to read it because I'm like, I want to write this. I want it to be mine. Same thing with the animation. The way I look at animation, and I was thinking about this the other day, when you have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Steamboat Willie, um, uh, the cartoons that followed that, Pinocchio, Cinderella, all those, and they have Walt Disney plastered all over them, right? Which is fine. That's his studio, that's his vision. He didn't draw any of it. He didn't write it, which he acted out the scenes according to legend. He would act out the scenes for his animators and writers and so on, and they would put it together. But he didn't draw anything. He didn't write it. He didn't compose the music. He didn't play it. He wasn't the voice actors. He didn't do the backgrounds. And frankly, he was a mediocre cartoonist at best. But he knew how to put together the resources, which were the people. He put together the resources he needed to create that vision and put it together. And then his name legitimately went on it. I look at AI the same way. When I'm drawing the pictures and coloring them in, inking them and coloring them, and I have my scene ready, and then I hand it off to AI and say, animate this scene from this keyframe to this keyframe. Keyframe is just like your start and your finish, and then it fills in between. And a lot of times I don't even use the keyframes. I use the first one as the key and tell it to do to fill this in this way. Then I don't feel like I don't feel bad about it. I feel pretty good about it because then it's the same as if I took that work and handed it off to an in-betweener. They're called in-betweeners in the business or whatever. Except I'm using AI to do it because I don't have the money for the hire in-betweeners to have a big studio. So I do think that there's a difference between that and someone just typing in a prompt and having to spit something out.
All right. Another thing I wanted to talk about or to hear your take on is earlier you mentioned, there are black, you didn't say it like this, but I'm gonna say it like this. There are black writers and then there are pro-black pro-black, pro. So what's the difference in your from your perspective?
From my perspective, pro-blackness is a kind of I'm trying to choose my words carefully because no, I'll just say it the way I feel it. It's more exclusive. In other words, I see like when they talk about black books. Excuse me. Okay, is the author black or are they white? It's like something like Lovecraft Country, which I haven't read the book. I haven't read the book, but I loved the series. But you have Lovecraft Country and other books like that that are centered around black people, about black people. A white guy wrote it, and so the book I haven't read it, so maybe the book is quote unquote pro-black, but in our spaces, and when I talk about us controlling our narrative, I'm sick And if there's anything I'm sick and tired of, it's other people telling our stories. I don't want anybody telling our story. I want our people to tell our stories from 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 a standpoint of Blackness. And what do I mean by that? Just because you may be Black and write a Black book doesn't mean it's necessarily pro-Black, because when you're and here I go, but this is when you exist within a global system of white supremacy, right? It can't help but rub off. It can't help but affect you. It can't help but affect the way that you think and your worldview. And to those who say, well, that's not necessarily true. I'm sitting here speaking English. Why do I speak English? I speak English because I was born in America and everything I've ever heard was English. I was saturated by it. Every commercial I heard was English. My parents spoke English. My teachers spoke English, and so on. And I speak it through no choice of my own. I speak it. I write it. I read it. I can't help it. So being within a global system of white supremacy is like someone dropping someone in the ocean and they come back to shore and say, well, I can come out dry. No, you can't. Now you can dry off. You can go and dry off. You can get yourself dry or whatever. But while you're still in it, you're wet, wet, wet. I said that to say, as writers, as creators, we have to decolonize our minds and write in a way that we're actually not. People may get upset with this, but when what do I consider not to be pro-Black? If I'm reading a book and I see it's like this interracial romance and all this stuff, I'm like, that is not pro-Black. It involves Black people. It has Black people in it, but that is not a pro-Black book. It might be written by a Black person. So yeah, it's a Black book with a Black person centered on it, but it's not pro-Black. Pro-Black is about building community, building Blackness, and it's about love of ourselves and our people, not hate of anybody else, just love of ourselves and our people, and wanting to see our people rise, wanting to see our people be great, wanting to see our people be sane and happy and healthy.
And winning, right, Ayoka?
And winning.
What does writing while Black mean to you?
Yeah,
kind of just said it, but
yeah, pretty much what I just said. Taking control of our narrative. We, for 400 to 500 years, have had someone else controlling our narrative, and those who are controlling our narrative don't like us, And so we've been presented. It's like the nonfiction book that I'm working on about the history of Black people in cartoons and animation in America, and we've always been presented as like the Sambo character, ink black face, big lips, all this stuff, and this has been pushed for forever, in this country. Actually, we were portrayed a little bit better before enslavement stopped, but after that, and the Jim Crow and the Sambo character and blackface, that's the narrative. All these different narrative, rapists, thieves, drug addicts, welfare, but we're just constantly trying to live this stuff down and throw this stuff off that has never been true en masse about our people, has never been true. But someone else was controlling our narrative. And so it's time for our people to control our narrative from a decolonized mind. And that's what writing while Black means to me and why it's important to me.
Okay.
What has that experience been like, having your books out there in the world?
It's so nice because that was always my dream, was to write. And now I'm a writer and have books out. Sometimes I'll just take one of the books off the shelf and just
Like
look
thumb
at
through
it and look at the words on paper and just flip through it
Yeah.
and like touch the cover. I'm like, I wrote this, and people read it. You
Mhm.
know, that's the other part of people read it
Yeah.
and they listen to it. Now, I have it on Amazon on audio, but it's AI. I'm sorry, AI reading it, but at least it's in audio, and we're getting people basically reading or listening to it every day. Different books and buying them. So that's very exciting to me, to know that I'm being read. Like that's life to us. Some of us write for, just for our private thoughts, but you don't write a book and don't want people to read it. So as Black writers, it's so important for us to write, but but also for the readers out there, there's like this world of entertainment out here that is uplifting for our people, and adventure and love, and it just you just run the gambit of emotions in different writings, and reading is becoming kind of a lost art, in my opinion. I'm still not a big time reader, but I'm getting back into it because reading does take you to different places, and it causes your mind to see things in a different way and think differently about things in a way that watching it may not. So watching it or just listening to it may not. So that's that's my final word. Read
All
them,
right.
comment, and give feedback and reviews.
Right on,
Right
writers.
on.
Right on.
Right on.
He didn't ask me to get my pen.
Thank you so much. We didn't have time. I'm scared we're going to run out. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Iyapo, for being our guest. You got your pen?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, let's write on.
Reading, learning, growing, creating, while building, living, thinking, healing, loving, building, writing while Black.